Hello friends, how are you today? Well, today I've got a good review for you of the Schumann resonance chart, and I also want to describe what I sense about the energies because it's big, and I'm wondering if any of you felt it also. Okay, so let's take a look. This is the current chart, and what I did was I have been tracking the solar flares. You guys might be aware that there have been, at the time I recorded this, 15 solar M-class solar flares in 3 days. And I adjusted the time, I got the time zones and everything correct. So these are in terms of the day on the chart here. So I adjusted the data, which is usually London time, to the chart. So what's really, and this is the first thing I want to point out, okay? What you notice is that it's not a big, there's not a big correlation here. You don't see lines all over the chart, right? Like we have in the past. Sometimes there is a correlation with the M-class flares, but many times there is not. And one thing that I have noticed is that sometimes what the solar flares seem to do is clear the chart or clear the energy. And how I think of it is related to our human energy field. And I talk about this on my first live stream, which if you go into my video channel on YouTube and you look up live, you'll see the first one. And I explain this in detail there. But essentially, if you look at the human energy field, it's almost like the solar energy comes into our field, just burns everything to dust, and gives us kind of like this relaxation. And I think that it's tougher for us to be interfered with when this is going on, because then the energy is between us and the sun. And so what I'm trying to explain is why I think the chart looks so generally clear, okay? That's what I'm trying to explain. You have, sorry, that got really loud. You have sort of one major vertical line per day on the chart, but it's got a lot of blue energy, the strange periodic vertical lines, which I still don't know what they are. They don't look like the technological effect. Those are gone. And all the images and things are gone. So I thought we could take a look at this, but I don't know about you, but at noon today, Pacific time on Friday, oh my gosh, I just had this feeling of relaxation and relief. And after 15 solar class flares, I know some of you get headaches and stuff like that, and there is interesting actual scientific studies on that correlation. But for me, I finally felt like, dang, I felt a huge rest. And I want to show you the image that I saw. You know, this big blue area here, there was, right in about here, I saw a face. Oh, actually, I can see it now. Now that I highlighted the area, I'm going to show you that. And it's almost like we're going about living our lives and something is locked out. Let me show you. Okay, so here's the image. I'm going to turn up the brightness. I don't know if the brightness on my screen affects the video. Okay, I don't know if you can see anything. I'm making it a little bigger right now for those of you with cell phones, but I'm just going to give you an idea. Up here is a big black eye. Then there's sort of this strange, strangely shaped face. This nose and this huge mouth comes out here and then comes around in a very square jaw. And there's a very firm sort of neck here. Let me just go to, how can I do this? Okay, so this is what I did. I took a picture of it so that I could show it to you. Now, what's interesting is look at the ones here on the left, the little small ones, because sometimes when you make the image smaller, it's easier to see. And the first thing that I saw here was what I would describe as like a tall gray alien, like a tall gray. And then as I looked at it more, I kind of thought, is that a reptilian? Like, is that like the jaw and the setting of it seemed like more like a reptilian energy? But at first, see the big oval, black oval here for the eye. And the face shifts. Like this eye here, this one here seems to be like that's more of the gray here. And then here is more of the mouth of, oh, you know what I just perceived? This is more of the mouth of like a if there was a reptilian humanoid. Not that there are any. Who knows? But if there was one, it seems like that might be a way that the mouth looks. I just realized something. It's almost like there's a mask here, like the gray is masquerading as the reptile, because it shifts back and forth for me when I look at it, and that actually would kind of go with what I've perceived, which is that it's not really the what we traditionally think of as the reptilian energy. You know, we all have a reptilian brain, and the reptilian energy is very hierarchical. You know, it's very, and what's going on now in our world is extraordinarily chaotic. It's not your typical, you know, severe hierarchy, pyramid shape. You know, everybody knows where they are in the hierarchy. No, it's like chaos. It's more of an energy of, archonic or demonic, which is, those are both very chaotic energies in the non-physical, in the forces of darkness, in my view. You know, reptilian energy is very, in the reptilian brain in the human, I believe, is what gets us into these hierarchical structures, the ancient brain, because, you know, the hierarchical structures, really, that was more of our ancient, you know, our ancient way. Modern society is extraordinarily chaotic, especially these days. And it's not really, it's really more of like some strange alien type of society. You know, this whole communist thing is not very human. You know, and I see it all over our culture now and in America, and it's shocking and saddening, but I'm over it. I'm over the sadness part. Steal your will. That's steal the will. That's where I'm at. Steal the will. Steal meaning S-T-E-E-L. Get strong. Steal, get strong. Make your will strong. And in my view, aligned with the divinity that you are. Okay, so anyway, this is what I saw there. And it's almost like it's locked out. You see here, right here, I see a human, a head and a body. And it's sort of, here it is. There was a lot of intriguing energy here. And now it's just the human sitting here looking here. And we've got this great big blue space. And in the blue, to me, we are connected with the soul. We are essentially like grooving in the dream time. We're not fully connected with the matrix reality. And when we are not connected with the matrix reality, these strange forces that I was just talking about cannot reach us. Aha, Baba, ding, freedom. How does one achieve that? You see, when you connect with your own soul, when you are in a prayerful state, like you are when you pray to God or talk to God, when you are in a meditative state, when you are extraordinarily centered, right, in your energy field, your energy, shake it off, your energy field is calm and clear. Well, that's when they can't reach us. That's when the forces of darkness, offers from outside the self, non-physical entities not in alignment with your highest good, my highest good. No, I do not consent to engagement, right? And so when we don't consent to engagement, when we're in that space, they can't reach us And then if they can't reach us, they can't use our energy to build the chaotic world that comes with them, apparently. Because boy, those influences are out in force, aren't they? And when something chaotic happens, in my view, the way that you address it is you get to that centered place within. When the chaos attacks you, when you are subject to it, or attempts to attack, and I do not consent to that. Let me just be clear. But once in a while, I'm a human being. Once in a while, I'm going to make a mistake, right? And my trust, therefore, is in God, is in the divine within me to have my back and to turn my challenges to light, to turn my challenges into the stepping stones of my highest outcomes. And you see, once you orient yourself this way, here's the freedom. Then forces that are not of the soul that you are, that are not aligned with that, cannot steal your energy, cannot use your energy, cannot misuse your energy, and cannot use the life force of a human being who they can't reach. They can't use that being's life force then to create as they wish. Because these beings, these interdimensional forces, whatever they are, the exact definition, we're just guessing here. All I can tell you is when I see in energy, there are repeat shapes that come up and they look like different things. And I've talked about this in detail in the past, but I have a lot of videos, so it's back in there somewhere. They can't reach you when you're in that state, and they cannot use your energy when you declare, I do not consent. And then you put in processes in place. Now, I talk about this in my Human Energy Workshop, which I will be offering later in 2023. Not sooner, but later. I'm creating content first. I really want to have it all together before I start. And I know there's people that don't, a lot of people that just do it and make the content while they're doing it, but I really want it to be orderly and not chaotic. Let's go back to the main chart here. So this is the blessing of the sun, okay, of all of these solar flares. Now, what we saw in the summer of 2022 is that after we had a crazy high, insane level of M-class and X-class solar flares, because this is a very strong emission. And, I called my girlfriend today and she said, what's up? And I said, there's so many solar flares. And she said, what's that? And so let me explain. So essentially, if you don't know what that is, the sun, right? It's a burning ball of energy up in the sky, of energy and light. And essentially, while it burns, it's kind of like the pilot light on the stove. And once in a while, you'll get a flare up, right? Like once in a while in a pilot light, like a certain color will come through that you're not used to seeing. I think it's blue, usually, isn't it? That usually like a blue will just flare up. And so, or if you have if I'm talking about obviously gas stoves, but if you have the cap, I don't know how to say these words. I use it every day. I don't know the name of these things, but there's a little thingy bobby and it goes on top of where the gas emits from. And if you put it on wrong, and then you turn the gas on, there'll be a flare up of gas from one side, and that flare up of gas will be higher than the other side, and you better fix it. Otherwise, the pan is going to be super hot on one side and not in the others. Anyway, if anybody knows the names of those things, you're welcome to put it. Now I'm embarrassed. Okay, so, all right, so when you're talking about the sun, okay, once in a while it has a flare-up. And periodically that flare-up will kind of reach out into space, kind of like when the pilot light's not on. And I think it has to do with coronal holes and all this stuff. Suspicious observers and spaceweatherlive.com are the most amazing sources of this kind of great information. So what happens is sometimes that energy emits out into space And then it's called a coronal mass ejection. And the question is the sun's energy facing Earth or not? Now, if any of you know where that data is, I would love to see it, because and if you could let me know a link, I would love it, because all I know is I've got links that show the solar flares, but I don't, which way did they face Earth? And also, how would you figure that out? How would you measure it? I just want to know if they're Earth facing or not, because, the fact of the matter is, how could they show up here as much as if they're not Earth facing? But then on the other hand, if I'm correct, as I say in that live video, that I feel that there's a matrix of magnetic energy lines, electromagnetic energy lines in the solar system. And I say that because I see those lines. When I lift my vision above the planet in clairvoyance and in meditation, if I go out that far to the solar system, then I will see these lines, and I see the planets sitting at the vertices. And so if the solar energy goes out into those lines, it could technically feed back to Earth along the electromagnetic grid lines that we cannot see, and I don't know if they can even be measured, but I see them in my clairvoyance, and I know that they are there. And I know also that they are there because when I've been up in the higher dimensions, I could look through at Earth and see the geometric grid lines. Going through the dimensions. It's actually kind of cool. Anyway, if you've never seen that before, that is how it looks like to me. So it's pretty cool. So what I felt like was that this energy here, it's so interesting today. It's like analysis and review. It's much different than we normally see here. You see how like little itty bitty pixels are different colors. And then, it's just very intricate, and usually the energy is not like this. Usually it's more like in a cloud, like this, like this green here. I wanted to show you this line as well. Okay, see this big vertical that goes from close to 0 to 40 hertz. You know what I got here? Energy coming to Earth, energy leaving Earth, or energy coming from 0 going to 40, energy going from 40 hertz going back to 0. We're cycling, right? We're cycling in our brain waves. And I mean all the way through the levels in a moment, right? Because if we go down here, this is 1 hour, okay? So this is about half of an hour. So this is about a quarter of an hour. So that's about a quarter of an hour. So let's see, that's 15 minutes. So this is about 7.5 minutes. So that's about as thick as each. That's about as thick as this line. Well, they're really about 2/3 of that, 7.5. About 3 minutes here. That's about. I want to say this is about 3 minutes. Okay. It seems like it should be more than that, but that's where we got to here. So in 3 minutes, we're going 0 to 40, 0 to 40, right? 0 to 40 one way, 0 to 40 another, or just both at the same time. But I felt like it was going one direction, then going out. What is cycling through our brain hertzes, right? Because the Schumann resonance here goes from 0 to 40 hertz, and that is reflective of human brain waves. So that is a fascinating question. And I want to show you something else about this. And I'm going to have to put the rest of it in my Substack because I just don't have enough time for the video to cover it all. But what I got here is this looked like a transmission tower, another 0 to 40 hertz line, and here and here. And what it's like is we had this whole experience with the flags and the sea here and all the 3 flags, and then we had all these vertical lines, which I don't know what they're related to. And now we're going to talk about it. We're going to transmit it. We're going to see how we feel. We're going to review it ourselves. And so I called this transmission, and I'm going to have to write about that in my Substack. I'll link it below here once I get it going on, but you can always check my Substack for the update. Okay, it's been great talking to you guys. Please like and subscribe.